Hello and welcome to the Browns Blitz. Today is Thursday, May 15th. This is episode number 296. I'm your host, Rod Bloom. I'm going to bring in my brother, Jeff.
Hey,
Jeff.
Rod.
Doing well. How are you doing?
Doing good. Pretty exciting week. Actually, buying tickets now, huh?
Yeah. Pretty exciting Browns-wise, and we don't even have to get into my life. Yeah. So,
Well, yeah, exciting is one word.
yeah, exciting is one word. Yeah. Yeah. I guess if we run out of other stuff, we could talk about that, but nobody really wants to hear about that. So I put some stuff out on X, and anybody that's following that, just know that I'm going through the process. Things are looking up, and I appreciate everybody's support. So, other than that, I'm excited about the Browns and everything else that's going on. So we got a show to do tonight.
Let's go.
So let's bring in Ryan Mosser. You follow him at Dynasty CLE. Ryan is the co-host of the Voice of the Land podcast for Big Play, and Ryan's also the king and the founder of the Browns Follow Trains. I know I do those as often as I can. It's just a cool thing he does for the fans on X, and we appreciate Ryan. He's just a good guy. So happy to bring Ryan on. Hey, Ryan.
How you doing, guys? How we doing, Ryan, Jeff?
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah, great. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. I appreciate the invite. Really excited to talk some Browns and whatever else we got going on.
Yeah, it's I'm just not real good at the whole guest thing.
That's cool.
I'm not real organized, so I think, man, I should have this person on, and it's been a while, and I look and I'm like, oh man, it's been like 3 years.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
Yeah.
So it's good to catch up with you.
Yeah, actually, last time I was on was the first time I was ever on a podcast, so I really appreciate the invite. And now, like you said, I'm with the Voice of the Land podcast, and I've been on there about a year now, which is crazy to think about because I still feel so green. But it's been awesome, and I am grateful for the invite then, and I'm grateful for the invite now. You guys kind of kicked it off for me, so I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Good to have you
back. As you know, Ryan, Rod is the voice that launched 1,000 podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty close to it. We started a few, or inspired a few people to go into it, and I'm pretty proud of that. So
that's awesome.
So definitely. So guys, before we really dig into the Browns, I don't know if you guys are drinking anything tonight, but we do our Blitz beverages segment, and let's kind of see what you might be drinking. So Ryan, did you bring anything tonight?
So I'm actually doing a thing called 75 Hard. So 75 days of like strict diet, strict workout. So I'm actually not drinking. So I brought an Aldi brand seltzer water, just lemon flavor. That's all I got. But yeah, I'm just really sticking true to that. And I don't have any beer in the house even to drink. So.
And that's all right, because that's what should I say, Jeff? That's kind of a little hard compared to what Jeff drinks sometimes. So it's okay.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So Jeff, what do you have?
So tonight I've got the mysterious green bottle that disappears again, the Heineken NA. This is the best kind of beer, the free ones.
Oh yeah.
Speedway was running some kind of promo with your points. You could get a certain number of these. So
free beer.
Pulled out of the fridge tonight. Free beer.
Awesome. So I can't quite reach the bottle from here, but our son Alex just got back from a little trip in Europe after being done with his medical school, and he went to, I guess, I don't know, I think it was like the original Heineken brewery in whatever country, and he brought me back a Heineken. It's an empty bottle now because they wouldn't let him take it through the airport with the beer in it. So he had to actually stop and drink what he could of it. But it's got my name on it. So it says
wow.
Rockies on it. So it's kind of cool. If
Yeah.
I knew you were drinking Heineken, Jeff, I would have it sitting here to show everybody. It's literally right over
It says on the label brewed in Holland.
Holland. Well, I don't
Yeah.
think he was in. I don't know. He went
Yeah.
a lot of different places. He went with 3 of his friends, and they stayed in hostels and
That's so cool.
just went around and checked a bunch of places out. Just had fun, between finishing up his
Residence.
stuff with not his residency. It's his the things they do before residency, where they go through the different sessions and things. Between that and graduation, he had about a month. So they went, he got back, and he just did graduation last month, and now he starts his residency in June.
Good for him. That's cool.
Yeah. So
good deal.
So guys,
my wife and I did the backpacking for a while there when we got married. It was a lot of fun. We did Europe and South America, so pretty cool.
Well, that's cool.
Sweet.
went to Spain after high school. It would be cool to go and see a lot of the other places, let's just say. So
yeah,
guys, I took a chance. I got this. This is one of those beer in the mail things. This is a Salt Flats Brewing Company. This is Salt Lake, Utah. It's a Kilted Harley Scottish Ale, and it's 9%. And this thing's rough, man. This is rough. This has, I don't know if this has scotch in it or what the hell it has in it, but I'm like, the first sip, I'm like, this has a little flavor to it. And the next, I'm like, man, this tastes like it has booze on it, So
that'll put hair on your ass, huh?
Yeah, no comment. I'll suffer through it, but I'm kind of wishing this was the only one I had in the refrigerator. But I actually got 2, so I'm gonna try to pawn one of these off on Josh or on Alex or somebody else.
Yeah.
So I'll get through it, but man, you better like the bourbon beers or beers that really kind of hit you to drink this thing.
Burn their way down, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I should have known, because I tweeted a picture of this out, and somebody came back with the thing of the Wicked Witch with her legs curling up under the house. And I thought, oh, that's funny. And no, that's really what this thing does to you. So, anyways.
Nice.
Okay, guys. Well, that's our Blitz Beverages segment. So, so let's move on into the news. We've actually got a few things here. I guess let's hit the schedule first, guys, and then we'll talk about some of the players after that. So, and Jeff, I'm going to let you take point on a lot of this, because Jeff did some extra math and some extra research on some of this stuff to kind of split the schedule up. But it is what it is. No primetime games.
Right.
Yeah, very little hope of being flexed into anything this season, more than likely. And the first, and Jeff, I'll let you go into the details here, but the first, the first 8 games? We'll say the first, the games, we'll say before the bye, a lot tougher than after the bye, at least right now. And guys, we know that the schedule has a tendency to change, right? I mean, the way it looks, at least sometimes. So a game that looks really hard right now may end up not being as bad as what we think then. But then the easy games now, we might look at the game now and think, that's our best chance for a win, and it might not be.
Yeah.
So you never know. But so Ryan, what were your first thoughts when you saw this schedule?
Top 5 pick incoming. That's what I thought, to be honest. So, that's what I thought. So
yeah, at least one.
Yeah, I think ours, but we'll see if we get 2.
Yeah.
I think it's I mean, like you said, things fluctuate, things change, but on paper right now it looks difficult. We have 4 quarterbacks, and when you they say if you have more than one quarterback, you have no quarterback. So I don't know. I'm pretty nervous going into this year with low expectations for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jeff, why don't you break this down for us? Because you sent me a lot of stats here, and what Jeff did was kind of looked at records for the teams on the
Right.
schedule,
Right.
by before and after the bye. So Jeff, before I
Just
break it down any more than that, I'll just let you go through that.
Yeah, just to kind of address that whole notion that teams are better than they think they are sometimes as you get into the year, or vice versa. And you play the schedule game early on, you don't know exactly what's going to happen, but this sort of bears out over time that not a lot of departure from what you expect early on, right? I mean, last year, just for instance, when we play the 49ers in week 13, last year, probably people thought that was going to be a tough game, right? Well, the 49ers ended up going 6-11. This year, their projection is to do a lot better than that, right? So what I did was I put down their record from last year, all of our opponents, and I broke it out into before the bye and after the bye. Okay. So all the opponents combined before the bye, their record from last year totals up to 83-53. So pretty tough start to the schedule. The back half of the schedule, all of those opponents, their record from last year totals up to 67-86. So if you're going by what they did last year, that feels like we have a better chance of winning some games later in the year, right? Altogether, that totals up to 150 and 139. Okay, so I'll come back to these numbers later just for comparison's sake. But then I went and looked at the 25 projection for all these teams, and this is per Bet MGM. So what they think is the win total over under for each of these teams, right? And I just kind of broke that out. And I read a couple articles on where people thought these teams were trending. Just put some of my own thoughts in there. And if for instance, the Bengals, their over under win total for this year is 9.5. They won 9 games last year, but they're trending up, right? They added a few pieces on defense. They were able to retain most of their players on offense. So if they're trending up, okay, I moved them up to 10-7. Okay, I gave them one extra win. It just kind of went down through everybody that way. Now, for instance, the 49ers, like I mentioned earlier, were 6-11 last year. Well, their over under this year is 10.5. So I made them 11-6. Okay, and because they're trending up. The Titans are 5.5. They won 3 last year. They're still trending down because they're a young team, rookie quarterback, and so forth, right? So I kept them at 5. Long story short, what I came up with for the first half of the season, the win totals from last year were 83-53. Well, after all those calculations, I come up with 76-60. Still pretty dang hard. Okay, first half of the season. Second half of the season, those teams last year were 67-86. Well, guess what? The trend this year is that they're going to be 79-74. So while we look at last year's results and think, we might do better in the second half of the season, truth is, not so much. Most of those teams are trending upward. Okay. And so what I end up with is, a grand total of 150 and 139 based on last year's record versus 155 and 134 based on the projections. So it's not a lot of difference, but it's enough to tell you that don't get too excited about them beating teams that were not necessarily as good last year because things change from year to year, right? So basically the Browns have an over-under of 5.5, and we won 3 games last year. Running through the schedule and looking at these teams and who is trending up, who's trending down, and where we think the best opportunity to win games are, there's not a lot. So I'm gonna agree with Ryan. It's looking like a long season.
Yeah. Great breakdown, by the way. That was really awesome.
Well, thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys aren't seeing many.
Who do we end the
seeing
last
many
three games
wins.
with? I don't have the schedule in front of me. What are the last three games?
The last three games are the Bills at home, the Steelers at home, and in Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's rough. That's really rough for those last three games.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think there's some opportunities to steal wins in this schedule. Probably the first one is when the Packers come here in week 3. The Packers, I think, they won 11 games last year, but they're trending down this year. That might be one opportunity to get a win early in the year, but there aren't many. And we decided we're going to go to the Dolphins game this year, and I told Rod last night there's a real good chance we could be 0-6 going into that game.
Yeah, I agree.
That's possible. Yeah. I think for me, I think it depends a lot on the plan at QB and really what they're trying to do. If they're really trying to evaluate both of the rookies and get them playing time versus going with a hot hand and just trying to get wins this year, then I think it's more likely that we do see more losses. I think that first game against the Bengals typically start pretty slow. So, that's a game that the Browns have to probably feel like they have a shot in. Let's face it, the Bengals think they're going to the Super Bowl every year.
Right.
Regardless of if they've improved their team or not, because they've got 3 guys on their team. So it just kind of depends.
My concern with that, Rod, is and we talked about this a lot last season. If the Browns approach the preseason like they did last year, with the idea that we're going to use those 3 preseason games to fill out the last 5 spots on the roster, as opposed to getting ready for week 1, that's why we've done so poorly in openers, in my mind. If Stefanski's learned his lesson and decides that we're going to be ready for week 1 this time, then we might have a good chance of catching the Bengals sleeping.
I think that last year, I think Stefanski didn't have a choice because he knew how bad Watson was going to be. So he was just trying to see anything else he has. So I think, if you remember, people were mad because they didn't play Watson, but I think that was intentional because he was just trying to delay the inevitable and try to, keep them in private quarters until they can try to figure it out, and it never worked. So I think that's why. More or less.
I don't disagree with that. I'm taking it beyond Watson though. I think he played the starting 22 very little in preseason, and just kind of expected to flip a switch in week 1 and have all these guys ready to play together. And there needs to be some cohesiveness, right? You at least got to get those guys some snaps together. And you can see that it was disjointed. A lot of that falls on the shoulders of Watson. A lot of it falls on the shoulders of Ken Dorsey. But I think as an organization, you have to be ready for week 1. You can't just be playing around with your roster in those preseason games and at the expense of getting guys ready to compete.
Yeah, I think with all the young guys on this team, I think you almost need to use some of those preseason games to evaluate some guys too. Why wait till the regular season to start your evaluations on these guys? So I can see holding some of these guys out. You don't want Miles playing a ton in the preseason. You don't want Denzel playing a ton in the preseason. Maybe Jerry Jeudy doesn't need to be out there much. But beyond that, maybe
Denzel Ward can sit.
Yeah, and probably some of the offensive linemen. But I agree. You want some cohesiveness. You want these guys to play a bit more than they did last preseason. But you can definitely get some evaluation on the quarterbacks and on you name it on some of the younger guys.
Yeah.
They should be out there.
They have a small amount of time too to figure out these quarterbacks because with the 2 rookies, and Kenny Pickett now, and a possible high pick or 2 high picks next year. Like if you don't figure out what you have now, you're going into the draft next year. You have a top whatever pick, and there's a quarterback you really like. They're going to pull the trigger on that. So there's a time here where they need to get those young guys in there, figure out what they got, see if they have the guy who's going to be the future or not. And it's a very short window.
For sure. Yeah. This year has to be it's a fine line, right, between evaluation while trying to instill a winning culture. Right. You don't want these guys reverting back to not caring.
Right, because we're not trying to win. Right.
So you want to at least feel like you're trying to win games, right? Where you're installing a new offense. You've got 7 rookies and a bunch of other guys that have a shot at making the roster. So yeah, I think you have to be ready to play week 1, and if they are, then I think we've done a good job in the past at home in particular of shutting down that Cincinnati offense. It's just a matter, can our offense get out of its own way in that first week?
Yeah, and with that, we'll see. I think we're all probably excited to see the changes on offense, with a few new guys in there and with the new offensive coordinator and, even more so with an old offensive coordinator gone. That things might be a little different. I mean, I think most of us felt like we could probably sat in that chair and gotten better results just by picking plays out of a hat. Better than what happened last year. So
Dorsey was pretty self-destructive.
Yeah, it just didn't work well. But yeah, we've talked about that on this podcast, Ryan. The fact that Sanders, they have to play both of the rookies enough to see what both of these guys have, so that they know what to do with those picks next year. So it's a very unusual situation, because
for sure.
Because if they don't have anything in either of those guys, or if it doesn't look like they do, then they're absolutely going to have to take another shot next season. Especially, with the way that quarterback class looks right now,
right.
Which will obviously change by the time the draft rolls around, because these guys will all have holes poked in them and that. But you got to feel like it's going to be a stronger draft class, nonetheless. So it's a unique situation, because I think ordinarily they would just be trying to get some wins, trying to get these two guys ready, kind of play them when they're ready. But yeah, I think you got to play each of these guys enough to see something.
Right.
And I don't know how many games that is for each guy, but you definitely want them out there. So, Jeff,
you think anybody's going to be excited to buy tickets in London to watch Dylan Gabriel play quarterback?
Paul Brown will, and his buddies, but that's about it.
We'll see how Dylan Gabriel plays.
Paul Brown will buy tickets to see anybody play the Browns. Yeah,
we love Paul, but Dylan Gabriel's taller than Paul Brown.
Just by a little.
He is. I'm just teasing. Yeah, Paul's a great guy. So yeah. But is that how do you see this playing out with the quarterbacks, Ryan, as far as playing time?
Logically, I would just want Flacco to play first and see what he does, because I want to win games. But also, I'm a realistic person, and I see the product that this depth chart isn't as strong in some places. I see the holes. I see that, I don't know, man. I want the rookies to play. I want to see who can step up if one of these guys are the future. Sanders, I was adamant on Twitter a lot saying that, I didn't want him second overall, but I would have been happy in the second round. We got him in the 5th round. Just because I didn't want him second overall doesn't mean I didn't like the player. I'm excited to see how he does. Dylan Gabriel, I was less excited about for sure, but I'm going to give the guy a chance because he's a Brown. That's unfair. Just, I think he was overdrafted, but that's not his fault. So,
agree.
Yeah. So I hear they love Kenny Pickett. I have no idea, man. I mean, logically, throw Flacco out there just because he's a fan favorite. But honestly, like I said, we have this short amount of time. We need to get the rookies out there. So whoever wins the job out of those rookies is who I'd play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the only thing that would really puzzle me is if Kenny Pickett gets a lot of playing time.
Right.
Because I'm like, kind of, where are we going with that? Unless he magically just looks great and they signed him to this big long-term contract. And it's like, wow, we got quarterback fixed. What are the odds of that happening, though?
I don't think that.
Probably not.
I think
really
Kenny Pickett is the longest of long shots.
I would think so.
In the smallest hands.
I would probably bet on either of the rookies before Kenny Pickett at this point.
Yeah.
So
my concern still in this offense is, where do the points come from? I mean, I love the fact that we want to go back to running the football. I think we've got the tools to do that. But why wouldn't you just put like 10 players in the box against the Browns on every down? Who's going to beat them? I mean, I think Harold Fannin is exciting. I'm not going to oversell him at this point. I think there's potential there. We know what David Njoku is at this point. I mean, he can take over a game at times, right? When he's healthy. And you got Jerry Jeudy. I mean, I ran some numbers on our wide receiver room. You guys will love this. Okay. Jerry Jeudy has, career-wise, has 301 receptions for 4,282 yards and 15 touchdowns. Okay, that's his career.
15 touchdowns in his career.
15 touchdowns in his career.
That's underwhelming.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would then took the next four, what I view as the next four guys. Okay, because I mean, these are the guys that we have something invested in. I mean, a draft choice. They've been around or been on the fringe. I think the rest of the guys have had a hard time. If you look at the depth chart, anybody beyond these guys has had a hard time even staying on an NFL roster. So Cedric Tillman, David Bell, Michael Woods, and Jamari Thrash. How many total career touchdowns do you think those guys have? All four of them put together.
Tillman for sure has the most.
I'd be surprised if it's 10.
Not even. I would say like 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6. 6 is the number.
Yeah.
And it's 3 for Tillman and 3 for Bell.
Yeah, I knew Bell had 3. I wasn't sure how many.
David Bell actually had a part of a pretty good season in one big game a couple of years ago. So so then I went and I looked at their total receptions and yards. Okay, so Tillman obviously is our number 2 receiver, right? 50 receptions, 563 yards. Okay. Bell, 41 receptions, 408 yards. These are career numbers, okay?
That's crazy.
Michael Woods, 12 receptions, 110 yards. And Jamari Thrash, 3 receptions for 22 yards. Okay. I mean, let's just assume that the other defensive coordinator puts his best guy on Jerry Jeudy. Okay, and you load the box and you take away David Njoku with a safety. I mean, where's the offense coming from? There's not a lot of opportunity to score points. Is I guess the net of this. So unless we can figure out a way to find another guy, another weapon on the outside, or if one of these 4 suddenly develops into a threat, and I think at this point it's almost going to have to be Cedric Tillman, right? If he stays healthy. I think we're going to be hard pressed to score points again this year, and it's not going to be because of Ken Dorsey, right? It's going to be because we have 4 quarterbacks, like you said, Ryan. It means we have no quarterbacks, and we have 5 wide receivers and really only have 1. Okay, so in the NFL, you need to be able to score points to win, even if you have a great defense.
Yeah, I think that you're going to see the 2 tight ends playing a lot. But you still need. I don't think they're going to do a whole lot of 2-back sets. So I think you're going to still see 2 wide receivers out there. So yeah, you definitely need the Browns to either bring another guy in, or you need somebody to step up out of those 4 guys. So this is really a make or break year because for those 4 guys, because they're kind of all in the same boat. If none of those guys produce, there's a chance none of them are around.
Right.
You know, and we might see, especially if this is a season where there aren't a lot of wins. I think we might see, at least to me, it would make sense to see those guys get some playing time, especially Thrash. David Bell, I think, is in the last year of his contract. So what's the point in playing him a ton?
Yeah.
Tillman's probably got 2 years left.
Yeah.
And then Woods, I'm not sure.
I think
he's
Woods
probably
is the final year. Well, see, that's the thing, though. Bell and Woods have both been released and re-signed a couple of times.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what their contract status is.
Yeah.
But you have to make a decision on those guys. Because of those guys, you should be able to find a guy who can be your 3rd and or your 4th receiver. Because on this team, those are not going to be vital positions. Okay, you just need guys who can back up and come in and give you a few snaps here and there. I mean, let's face it, this team needs another strong receiver.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be addressed next year in the draft, you would think.
Okay. I think the flyer that they may try to use is Deontay Johnson. What if this guy can come back to where he was back in his career with the Steelers? I mean, yeah, he's jumped around a bunch of teams last year where it didn't work out, but I mean, they brought him in for a reason. They must see something in him. So hopefully maybe that's the guy. Another guy I'm watching who out of the draft got in some legal trouble. If he's guilty of it, obviously I don't even want to talk about him, but Isaiah Bond out of Texas, he ran decent 40. He was a decent receiver. Yeah. He was projected 1st or 2nd round pick. Right now he's going through some legal stuff. And like I said, aside from that, if he's, found innocent or whatever, that's another person I would definitely be watching.
There's probably a lot of teams waiting on him, I bet.
Right. There's still a few other options in terms of finding guys. I mean, there are some free agents still out there whose price tags may come down into our range. There's always the possibility of there's always the possibility of Andrew Berry doing another trade deal like he did the last several years, which brought Jerry Jeudy here last year. I'm not panicking yet. Okay. But I think it underscores the point that if this year truly is about evaluating guys, it's going to be hard to evaluate quarterbacks with that receiver room.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree with you. You don't want to have. I mean, you don't want your number 4 and 5 receivers out there all the time to see what they have when you're trying to evaluate your quarterback. That makes sense to me. So you can't put Jerry Jeudy on the bench half the season and try to evaluate your rookie quarterbacks.
Right. I mean, God forbid Jerry Jeudy gets hurt. I mean, we're in bad shape if that happens.
Well, I do have faith in Tillman. I think that Tillman he had a stretch last year where he had 3 or 4 good games where he had some decent yards, some great catches, and then he's had concussion issues ever since, and hasn't played since he had the first concussion. So we'll see how he is with that. But if he comes back and he's okay, I think that he could step into a bigger role this next year. I saw some flashes of some really good plays out of him. So I could see him definitely stepping into that second role. And hopefully, like you said, we just need somebody. So like it's wide open. Somebody carpe diem seize the day, go get it.
There certainly is a lot of opportunity.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more of the Browns Blitz in just a moment. And we're back with Ryan Mosser at Dynasty CLE and more of the Browns Blitz. So, guys, we were talking wide receivers. Yeah, I know there's some good free agents out there, and I know that we've talked about the Packers, Jeff. Kind of like to see Romeo Doubs here. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, that would be great if you could make it happen. I don't know if
trade and sign. Yeah.
Yeah. Supposedly Pittsburgh's trying to grab him too. I don't know.
Pittsburgh, they would probably trade for him, and then they would just let some other guy go.
Yeah.
I don't know what Pittsburgh is doing. They trade for a guy, and then they let somebody else go. I mean, who's running the show there now? Because it does not seem like typical Pittsburgh anymore.
Well, apparently Aaron Rodgers is running the show, which is good for us.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know. When you got one wide receiver in the house and no quarterbacks, it's could be a long season.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Very interesting, but yeah. So the Browns, Jeff, and free safety. So we wanted them to draft a free safety, the weakest position, one of the weakest positions on the team, and they did not. They addressed other positions multiple times. Well, they addressed free safety. They just kind of did it all at once. Signed DeMonte Kazee and Rayshon Jenkins the same day, or maybe back-to-back days. I swear it was like the same day, wasn't it?
It was. It was announced right. Yeah,
pretty much the same day, I thought. So it's been recently, but I mean, two vets. You guys have been around and played, so how are we feeling about the safety room now, guys?
Anything's better than Juan Thornhill, but I'm not confident in it. So
yeah,
it's got to be better than it was last season, right?
We'll see. I'm not confident in it.
Rayshon Jenkins is what, 31, 32?
Yeah, I think that both of those guys are north of 30.
Yeah. Well, if they can play like Rodney McLeod, I mean, we'll be okay.
Yeah. I mean, Jenkins, I think, is more of a box guy. KZ is more of a Rodney McLeod type of player, I think, who may see more snaps. I guess it's going to probably depend on packages, but we're there may be three safeties on the field, but again, we're really counting on Ronnie Hickman a lot.
Yeah,
to be the one true free safety. That's what you're saying.
To be our number 2 safety. Yeah. I mean, I like him a lot. I've said it before. And I thought he should have been drafted. It was a great pickup as a UDFA. But I mean, he's really a 3rd or 4th safety to me. We've, instead of going out and signing a free safety and whiffing, now we're just not even trying. We're just going to plug guys in, right? Hopefully,
the last 2 signings.
Hopefully we put enough pressure on the quarterback with our defensive line that the safety is not as important as we think it's going to be.
Afterthought.
Right. But with John Johnson and then Juan Thornhill both being dead eggs, I just I think they're just trying to get some guys to plug and play until they can draft.
A little snake bit, right? We're afraid to go out and find another guy, right? But
I guess I'm just waiting. I guess so. I guess next season we need to draft a free safety, a wide receiver, depending on what they do. They could still technically, do a trade this season to address, that number 2 wide receiver, number
Well,
one.
I
and
think
we're
a
gonna-
safety. I think a safety could go top 5 next year, and Caleb
Yeah, I
Downs.
was
That would really
just
love
gonna
that.
say maybe
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna tank for Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
That too.
So,
Yeah, that's very possible.
Yeah, I guess I'm not as worried about it, Rod. There's a lot of ways that things can go sideways on the defense, but we've got enough depth there at safety now. We've got enough bodies, I guess, that we can rotate frequently and hopefully cover that. You're always going to have some area that you're not 100% happy with, I guess.
Right.
And again, we're not to camp yet, so we can still see something change. But neither one of those guys really excites me a whole heck of a lot.
Okay. Well, yeah, and you still got cut downs. There still could be some guys that are available out there.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, the defense should be pretty solid this year. So if this turns out to be one of those seasons where, we're checking out, seeing what guys have, whether it's the wide receivers, quarterbacks, even some of the guys on the offensive going, why not have it be a season where we see a bit of Ronnie Hickman, and see what he can do. He's going to have a lot of good players around him. So if he ends up playing a bit, and, it would help them know for sure that, whether he can be a real starter or not.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not the plan, but if it ends up happening, then they would know that that's a definite need going forward.
I agree.
So, did you guys see that Charles Woodson bought a small stake in the Browns?
Yeah.
He bought a
small
0.1%.
Small by billionaire standards, but not by ours.
Well,
spent
yeah,
$5 million.
Yeah, not small by small being 0.1%.
Right.
But it's still $5 million. So
right.
Not something that most of us are going to just go in on. So
right.
I guess he and Jimmy kind of bonded a little bit, and he's an Ohio guy. So
right.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't care. That's cool.
Don't care.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Just like Usher would have been part of the Cavs, whatever.
Unless he spends that $5 million on a free safety, I'm not really
right.
Don't think he's going to have much say in day-to-day operations
number
for that
3 receiver.
0.1. Yeah. Well, anything I missed in news, guys?
The only thing I would mention is that there was an announcement today that the Browns are moving forward with the Brook Park Dome, with or without the support of Cuyahoga County. So to Chris Ronayne, who is the Cuyahoga County executive, poorly played, sir. You missed out on your bag. They're doing it without you. So we've been talking for months now about, were they going to be in Brook Park? Were they going to be in Cleveland? Well, it's no longer a question. It is 100%. They're going to build the dome in Brook Park, and no one's going to get in the way. So let's build this team for 28.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Was there ever really any doubt that this was going to happen?
Not in my mind. No, but a lot of people, look, there's always going to be a certain contingent of the fan base that wants to play outdoors, and I get that. I mean, I get the history of the tailgating and everything that happens around the existing stadium location.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of moving into the future and what's best for the Northeast Ohio area and what's best for potentially having a championship team, why would you turn down a multi-billion-dollar opportunity? It's nonsense, and it's what's holding it up is people wanting to be paid off.
Yeah.
So we're moving on.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think
I'm
this
glad
can
to
bring
hear
a
it
lot of
finally.
opportunities to Cleveland. So
Yes.
Yeah. So they're going to play in a dome in 28. So
Mhm.
what impact do you guys feel that has on building the team? Very much.
Well,
Ryan, what do you think?
are they building? Is it going to be finished in 28, or are they just breaking ground in 28?
no. The plan, I think, is that they're going to actually be playing there in 28 because that's when the
Wow.
lease expires
Okay,
at the current stadium.
that's awesome. Sorry, Greg, can you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Just how does that? What impact does that have on the way you try to build a team? The fact that you're going to be playing in a dome.
Artificial surface.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you like man. I don't. That's a hard question, actually. Prepared as in like getting your team ready to play, or just like building the roster? Because
Kind of building
Skill
the
set.
roster
I
is
think
kind of
it
what I'm
affects
thinking.
skill set, right?
Yeah.
yeah, I don't. Other than like all I can think of was like the guys who like to play in warm weather. Even I think Dylan Gabriel even says, I like playing in warm weather. That's gonna help be
Yeah.
a non-factor for guys. But other than that, I mean, obviously I don't really like artificial turf. Hopefully, I mean, I don't know if they've made that a thing where they're for sure gonna do the artificial turf or not. I don't know if the dome's gonna be retracted. I haven't really looked at the dome,
Yeah. That I'm not sure of.
schematics or anything. But I'd rather have grass. I think that artificial is not really great. The players really don't like it as well. But yeah, other than just the guys that are worried about the weather, I think you just continue to build the same way. Just get your best player available at positions and keep building. I think by 28 we could have a really really good team. It's going to be a really different team, but it's going to be a really good team.
Do we know if they're looking at turf or grass there, Jeff?
I believe that it's a rigid dome. It's not a retractable, so that pretty much takes any
grass
sort of
out of it.
natural surface out of play. You either need to open it or you need to pull the grass out like they do in Vegas, or do something so that it can grow, right?
Right.
I mean, I don't know if there's a way that they can grow grass now inside a translucent dome, but I think it's like 90% that it's going to be some sort of artificial turf.
Okay.
So yeah, that affects injuries for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're going to have a higher instance of those kinds of injuries, leg in particular, knee, ankle. I think it also impacts the idea that the AFC North is built a certain way. That to win games in your division, you have to be able to play in the elements. You have to be strong running team, physical, all those kinds of things. I think if you're playing more of your games in a dome, I think it mitigates that somewhat. You're probably looking at more of a team that's built around speed, right, and agility, because you're not going to be playing in rough weather conditions. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking for. I'm not looking for possession type receivers. I'm looking for burners, probably, that kind of thing. Get home run hitters. I mean, I guess you just have to look at the Lions. They play in a dome. How they've built their team. Indy to a lesser extent, maybe. They're on an artificial surface. I think those are the kinds of teams we'll probably be emulating, as opposed to the Steelers and the Bills, who play outdoors.
Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, sure, we'll still have, 3 games in the division in the elements, against those teams, but I think you probably still build your defense in a similar way, but you can build your offense a little differently. Because you've got 8 or 9 games at home in the dome.
Right.
And chances are, of your other 8 or 9 games, some of those are going to be in domes or warm weather. So so it should be built on
I mean,
speed and yeah.
That's how you make it a home field advantage, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just think of, just the teams that are just built to fly and stuff, and that's kind of I think speed is an important thing to take advantage of the turf. So, it'll be interesting to see or to watch the team transition if they do transition over the next 3 seasons. Trying to get ready for that if they transition personnel.
Right.
You would certainly think that would play a part in the quarterback that they're trying to find now too. You would think they would want a quarterback who's good with the deep ball, accurate.
More of a dual threat type guy.
Well, and dual threat probably too.
Yeah.
So
We don't really have a dual threat guy on the roster right now.
Not right now. We haven't had a lot of luck with dual threat guys lately.
That's true. Probably because they were only single threat, if that, maybe half threat.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting.
So Rod Jeremy asked me to review a question that we brought up. I don't know. It's been a few weeks ago. How many rookies are starters by week 4?
Oh, by week 4. We did week 1 before, didn't we?
Was it week 1 or okay? I don't remember how we did it.
I think it was week 1 when we had Jared on or somebody else. Yeah, it could be. So
maybe it's fairer to bump it out a little bit, or I don't know. Maybe you could get 2 different answers.
How many rookies are starting week 4?
Yeah, in light of the draft and the guys we took, and the needs and so forth, and obviously with JOK going out, I think it might change a little bit. Do we want to kind of put our predictions out there again?
Yeah, and let's give Ryan a minute to kind of think about this.
I'm ready. I got it.
Oh, he's already got it.
Yeah, I'd say. I think Mason Graham's clearly a starter. Schlesinger is clearly a starter. Judkins is clearly a starter, and so I say at least 3, with the hopes of them starting one of the rookie quarterbacks, and depending on the health of Njoku, if Harold Bennett goes in, we could be up to 5. But I think guaranteed 3 starters.
That makes total sense to me. I mean, I could see, I could see 3 to 5, just kind of depending on circumstances.
Right.
It depends. Depends.
Yeah.
Week 4. I mean, it depends how long they play Flacco before they stick one of the rookies out there. I could see him playing, 3 to 5 weeks, just depending on how things are going and when they think one of the rookies is ready and how bad the record is at that point, and how soon they're ready to cash in and just start evaluating. Yeah, Jeff, do you have a number? So Ryan's saying, what are you saying, Ryan? 4?
I'm gonna say 3 for sure, but
Right.
with possibility of more.
I'm going to say 2 for sure. I think Judkins is a no-brainer. And I think Schlesinger sort of by default because of the JOK pup list thing. I think those 2 are pretty much 100%ers that they're going to be starters more than likely week 1. Mason Graham, I'm a little bit on the fence with. Can he get in shape? Can he be ready to play early in the season? We know he's going to be a starter. I'm just not sure that it's going to happen right away. So I'd say 2.5 maybe. The rest of the guys I think are going to be a little bit more role players. So I don't know if you could really qualify them as starters, right? So depending on what formation you come out in, I mean, you come out in the 2 tight end set, right?
Yeah,
Um,
then Fannon's the starter.
yeah,
it's just
I
a
don't
hunt.
think Fannon's going to be a starter right away. I think in a season he could be your number one tight end if everything goes right, but probably not right away.
Yeah, I think I'm with Ryan on this. I think I would say 3 because I think Graham, Judkins, and I think it's almost sure that either Schlesinger or quarterback's going to be playing by week 4, and there's a chance that Fannon's playing too. So, but I would have a hard time saying 4.
Yeah.
But I would say 3.
So there you go, Jeremy. Somewhere between 2 and 3.
2 and 3. I just think it's hard to say more than that, just because you just don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that defensive line's going to look early in the year. I mean, they paid Malik Collins $10 million a year. I don't think he's coming in to be a backup.
No.
So, yeah, I'm not 100% positive of how they're going to utilize Graham yet, and when he'll be that dominant force. Hopefully, the guy taking that high, it's week 1, but might take a few weeks.
I'm really high on Mason Graham. I don't think his conditioning is really an issue. I just see a guy out there working so hard that he throws up. I played football. I played college football. I threw up all the time. I still throw up when I walk down the road. So, I mean, he's gonna be ready. I'm not worried about it. I'm a big fan of his. I was, very adamant in saying if we traded back, I wanted to stay in the top 5 and take Mason Graham. I'm really excited to have him.
Okay.
Like you said, his accolades aren't great, but he is just a guy. I'm a former wrestler. He was a former the run defense is going to be immaculate, and it's going to open up so much more for Myles Garrett and open up more for the defensive line in general. I think it's one of our major strengths.
Yeah, that all sounds great to me. The sooner we get to that, the better.
Right.
Yeah, should be fun, and I guess we'll see how. I guess it sounds like Mike Hall's going to be ready beginning of the season. I guess we'll see how what kind of shape, how he's coming back from the injury and all that when he's ready to go. So,
right.
But yeah, hopefully he's ready to be a part of that rotation at the beginning of the season too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, should be fun. I mean, if these guys can all play like we think they can, in the NFL, then it should be a lot of fun watching those guys this season. Definitely.
So last thing, Rod, just to kind of come full circle, I talked about the Browns over/under for win total being 5.5. I already kind of told you I'm taking the under. What are you two guys taking?
5.5.
Yeah.
Ryan, what are you taking?
I'm taking the under. I think we're sitting at 3 wins next year if we're lucky. So.
5.5 is a lot, but I don't know that. I think it depends on how the quarterback play goes. It really does. If they, if one of the rookies comes out and they let him play for 5 weeks and he's got nothing, then yeah, I could see that happening. I think the defense is going to be good, and I think the offense is going to be improved. So I think this team is going to be in more games than what people think.
So I'm putting you down for over.
No, I'm not saying over. I don't know how many they'll actually win. I think they're gonna. I think the team is gonna play fairly well in games, but I mean the schedule is tough.
So what's the best case scenario win total?
geez. You should have told me this ahead of time, Jeff. Honestly, if Flacco plays well and then they start playing one of the rookies and the rookies play well to where they get decent quarterback play this year and they're getting production out of Fannin and Judy and Joku and one of the other receivers steps up and a running game's clicking to where they're putting up, close to 20 points a game and this defense plays well, this team could win 8 or 9 games and it wouldn't even surprise me.
Wow.
Do I think that's likely? Not really, because they're so young. I think 4 or 5 games is probably realistic for this team.
100%. The key is turnovers on both sides of the ball. If we can take the ball away on defense, we're going to win games. If we can prevent turning the ball over on offense, we're going to win. But that's what we've been struggling with the last few years.
That's sort of the wild card, right?
Right.
You can't plan for.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah. Okay. Well, I'm still going to put you down as override because you're the optimist. So I'm going to say
that's
6.
Fine.
Okay. So we got 3, 5, and 6.
Anybody can go
plus.
back to the tape and see that I said 4 to 5. But it's all right. But I also said that it wouldn't shock me if they won 8 or 9 games if they got good quarterback play. Just because I think this defense has a chance to be pretty darn good with that defensive line.
How about this? Let's revisit this at the end of the preseason.
That sounds good.
When we know who's going to be on the roster. Hopefully they've made a couple more moves by then, and we might have some kind of idea of who the quarterback's going to be. We might change our minds.
That's fine. I think Flacco's going to start. I'd be shocked if they start anybody other than Flacco week 1. But
I think they're going to trade Flacco before week 1.
You think? Okay. That's certainly not out of the question. So
they're not going to have 4 quarterbacks, and I don't see them cutting a rookie. They just traded for Pickett. The only other guy that they could cut or trade would be Flacco, and I don't know.
Yeah, I thought a Pickett trade was more likely than a Flacco trade, but yeah, I could see it. So
Pickett's on his young contract as well. Flacco's only on a 1 year, $4 million. So
they're both 1 year. So either one could go, I think. For me, the guy that you keep if you're trying to win games is Flacco.
I agree.
The guy that you keep if you really just want to try to learn something this year is Pickett. I mean, he's the boomer bust, right? In this equation. So, I mean, if they decide to move Flacco, it sort of tells you right up front that, okay, this is going to be a long year. We're just going to learn about guys, right? We're not really going to try to win games.
I think the fans would rather see them keep Flacco. So, if they want to appease the fans at all, they'll keep Flacco.
Yeah.
There's also one big elephant in the room is that, next year a Manning might be coming out, and Jimmy Haslam is close personal friends with the Manning family.
Yep.
So that's a thing to watch as well.
Yeah. We still need to learn an awful lot about Arch Manning. So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be fascinating to watch. And if somehow that happens, it wouldn't surprise me at all if we're sitting here, a year from now talking about Arch Manning as our starter. But a lot has to happen between now and then for that to happen, right?
Yeah.
So, and if that doesn't happen, there still are a handful of other really good quarterbacks that are going to be available next year.
Agreed.
So, like Jimmy said, it may take a couple of years to get the quarterback we want, but it'll happen eventually. And I think going back to what we said about the Dome in 28, that all factors in. You want to find the right guy.
It sure feels like they're in a better spot to make that happen than they have been in a long time with the guys currently on the roster and the picks that they have going into 26.
Agreed.
Right.
So, all right, guys. let's get some final thoughts. So, Ryan, we appreciate you joining us. Been great talking to you.
Very grateful. Anytime. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So, what final thoughts do you have for anybody who happens to be listening?
Nick Chubb should be only in a Cleveland Browns jersey his entire career. I do not care about whether or not he can be on the field. Selfishly about opportunity, I just want him on the team. I think that he deserves this spot over Jerome Ford, over Pierre Strong. Nick Chubb needs to be on this team, and I think that it's crazy that Andrew Berry's not even considering.
I'm with you.
We went 65 minutes without mentioning Nick Chubb, Rod.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're
That's
contractually obligated to bring him up.
We bring him up every week. Every week.
Good job, Ryan.
Yeah. Thanks for saving the show.
No sweat, man.
I wholeheartedly agree. I hope it can happen. I'm excited to watch this team play. I'm not worried about the wins and losses at this point. See what some of these young kids are capable of. See if Kevin Stefanski can go back to what he's been good at and rebuild the offense that we saw a few years ago. If that gives us a true picture of what some of these players are capable of, and it's something we can build on in the future, then this year will not have been a waste, no matter how bad the record is. But with all that said, I mean, I really have a hard time seeing us winning too many games with things as they're currently constructed. I do think, though, that we're going to probably see Shedeur Sanders play a lot this year. We have to. He's the guy that we have to find out about. I don't really care about Kenny Pickett. I have a pretty good idea of what Dylan Gabriel is. Shedeur Sanders, if we had taken him with the second pick, a lot of people would have been happy. We took him exactly 144 picks or 142 picks later. Let's find out. Let's find out who was right and who was wrong. Okay, and let's at least know by the end of the season where we are. So when we go to that Dolphins game, week 7, Rod, I want to see Shedeur Sanders playing. I think that's going to be a pivotal game because the Browns are probably going to come into that game with, let's just say, less than 2 wins. Let's play Shedeur and see what we have.
I think it'll be very interesting to see if they go to Gabriel or Sanders first. So yeah, definitely. All right, guys. This has been the Browns Blitz. We're part of the Fanatical Elves Network. Catch us on YouTube, on iTunes. Please subscribe to both. We appreciate everybody who listens. And we will catch you all next time.